Shit. So it took me a minute, almost all month, but there's this lady, Nancy Guthrie, that was kidnapped. And I was supposed to call or send a fax to tell the location of where she's at to the Pima, Arizona County Sheriff's Department. That was set up by good old Trefoletry, Gavin McGinnis, and he's supposed to telepathically tell me where she's at. You remember the thing I was talking about, how people set me up for failure and then go, it's your fault this happened because I set you up for failure? These people believe their tetra-lead brains enable them to be telepathic. This is the equivalent of a child being like, I'm gonna go hide in the woods and use my powers to tell you where I'm at, Daddy. That kid's dead. But I also wanted to talk about the truth of this situation. They go, you can lack confidence and lose everything. And if you don't have confidence, it's not confidence. That is an egregious oversimplification of this goddamn situation. And I even said that to Anal Eating Mummy God, because he was like, what you lack is confidence. And why did I lack confidence? You poisoned me with heavy metals. Hey, do you know what you did? You poisoned me with heavy metals. I used to give speeches in front of crowds of people in high school. I gave speeches in front of crowds of people in elementary school. I never backed down when anybody had a fucking problem with me. You crippled me with heavy metals. You created the situation and then said I lacked confidence after being held up at gunpoint, which once again I bet your dumb bastards would crumble if somebody put a gun in their face. I 100% guarantee you that is exactly what would happen. But we're not gonna dwell on that, because I told these people off multiple times when they had me at gunpoint to fuck off. But all I wanted to talk about when I was in high school, when I worked at Papa John's, and how these guys would come up and start doing the gorilla thing and threatening me, and I would just pound on my chest in response. That works. So if you're ever getting bullied, do that. Okay? And do that until they fuck off, because they're probably members of this church, and they're not gonna like the fact that you're humiliating them by demonstrating that they're nothing but gorillas. And trust me, humiliation is the cure for these people. They need to be humiliated in everything. It is the only way they learn. Okay? When Blondie learned compassion, he learned it through being humiliated. What these people need are humiliation rituals performed on them regularly. And they're going to go, you need that! No, you need that. You need it desperately. You need it more than anybody on the planet, because your ego is out of control. But I wanted to talk about ADHD and how it played a major role in probably most of every event that happened. One, ADHD people, I was just reading about it over here. I've always had a problem with doing what other people try to force me to do. If it's under the threat of death or whatever, I am more likely to resist it. Which, I think a big chunk of what this is they're trying to force me to do something, one I don't want to do, but they're trying to force me to do it through surreptitious, passive-aggressive ways, which agitate me to no end. Once again, my father does this, and I inherently resist it on every level. And this is a part of having an ADHD brain. ADHD people do not like being forced into doing things because it loses their autonomy. These people love having no agency. They love taking it in the ass and being told what to do. It's their favorite pastime. Yeah. The ADHD brain doesn't have focus. I was unable to focus. The ADHD brain doesn't have devotion. And they're like, oh, you weren't this and that. Yes, it's because I have ADHD. It's related. Once again, this is a biochemical issue. And who gave me ADHD, by the way? You people. And once again, this is a responsibility thing. It is a bunch of bastards who have no accountability. And anything they do, they behave like children and then go, you're the child. You're this. You're that. And everything to them is the narcissistic insecurity. Okay? Because they're insecure, and that's where all the control issues come from. Make no mistake about it. But I digress. It is ridiculous that in a country like America where we practice freedom, that you cannot freely come out and just talk shit about religious people and fucking drive their fucking ways into the dirt. It is ridiculous that this church has the ability to file lawsuits and pin people under fucking ridiculous contracts that they shouldn't be under, and then put you under them under the threat of death, and then because they have overwhelming force and power, they just get away with it and the US government turns a blind eye. But we can go over that. And I wanted to talk about how this, as they go, this is confidence test. This isn't a confidence test. This is a faith test that these people are actually capable of doing the right thing, and they're not just going to leave me in prison and make fun of me. Okay. This is I don't even want to say test of courage, because it is a literal, you have to do what I want. It is a do what I want, bend to my will. And I will talk about this. You think a leader that doesn't bend to other people's will would be a great leader? Just think about it. I don't do what these people want me to do. I think that's a really good trait, personally. But here's the thing, I'm not stupid. I recognize there is a manipulation in this. I was watching this thing called about the Strassi and how these people do everything the Strassi do. The Strassi were a bunch of Nazis that went around poisoning people with shit, fucking them up and causing them to live in the fear brain, gaslighting them, and just using all these nasty psychological tricks to mess people up. And just like this church, they bug women's phones and then figure out what the women are into and then pretend to be that thing those women would love. That is what they do. Once again, everything these people do is fake. Everything's fictitious. It is all about the external validation. You have to like me. Everything they do is not real. There is no real human being in there. It is all about being fake to get what you want. And I had this realization while listening to them that everything they did down here to make me look like an asshole was literally part of the plan to begin with. It was literally part of the plan to begin with. And that's bullshit. Okay? That is fucking bullshit. The aspect that this was a test of faith, it wasn't confidence. It's a test of faith, it's a test of devotion, it's a test of commitment. Okay? It's a test of faith, it's a test of devotion, and it's a test of commitment. And I'm supposed to have faith in a justice system that left me out there to die. I'm supposed to have devotion for something that almost got me killed last time. Okay, and I'm supposed to have commitment to something that, once again, nobody fucking wanted to help me with. And even right now, nobody wants to help me. And everybody wants to help Blondie. Why? Because Blondie's the victim of his own religion. Which makes no goddamn sense, by the way. And once again, if I spoke to these people, like, cool, you're going to leave the church, right? 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 And I just keep saying it until their heads fucking exploded and they killed themselves. Because that is the only way to respond to these people. Okay. I personally, like, in my mind, whatever, man. I had this other thing from that other chick from that religion that cursed me. I think the way these people's curses work is they convince you there's something going on in your subconscious mind, and they convince your subconscious mind it's cursed. Because she cursed me that everybody would work against me if I ever tried to have sex or have a wife. That is what she did, because when I was a kid, I touched her hand and I was playful. Now, playful when you're a kid is playfulness, but when you're an adult, it's flirting. And when you treat a child like an adult, playfulness gets confused as flirting. And she thought I was flirting with her. And I guess if I could talk to her, I would tell her, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I led you on because I was playing when I was a kid. And I'm also sorry that you misinterpreted the entire situation. And I'm sorry it got you killed. And I'm sorry because I touched your hand, you lost your chance to go to heaven. This is the importance of these videos. You might go, Bobby, you sound crazy right now. Yes, when people are venting, they're supposed to sound crazy. That is the entire logic of venting. Yeah. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. The cinema guys and everybody's telling me this shit's over. I don't know if fucking good old Tree replaced what was supposed to happen originally with this thing that he did where he's like, I'm gonna telepathically talk to you, which, once again, what kind of a test is, are you telepathic? Are you telepathic? Look, I was trying to do their telepathic thing, and the only word I got is Bogos, and there is no Bogos, Texas, there is no Bogos, Arizona, and there is no Bogos, there is no Bogos, Mexico. So I have no idea why the fuck, like, when I do their little, because the way their telepathic shit works is you imagine a golden light going into your head, and the only word that comes to my mind is bogus. But I think maybe what my brain is trying to tell me is this is bogus. This is bogus. That's my theory. This has been a very good venting session for me. Thank you.